Pamela Fleischman, great to have you in the King Studios this morning. I love the idea that you found a home in the Hollywood district, and my first thought is, I bet that was just ripe for some remodeling, some issues, old lead paint, that kind of thing. Tell me what your home is like.
Our home was built in 1918, and so it's an old bungalow, Portland bungalow style. We wanted to stay in the neighborhood we were in when we were looking for a slightly bigger home when we started our family, my husband and I. And we've been in there 7 years now. And last summer we looked around the exterior, and we knew that the time was coming that we would have to replace the siding, two of the sides, the south and the west facing sides.
So you had siding and not paint.
We had painted siding. Yeah, it had several layers of paint that you could see where boards had split.
And so I'm thinking, a home built in 1918, you don't know the real history of how it was painted, what it was painted with. What were your first thoughts? What was going through your head? Now you have this big project. What are you going to do?
We wanted to find a contractor, a company that we knew could do everything we needed, which was tearing it off carefully, because we operated with the assumption that we had lead paint. So we started asking friends and neighbors if they knew of anybody, and we had a wonderful referral from two neighbors that lived just a few blocks away. They had had a residing project done. So we started doing our research after that, and that's how we found Lifetime Remodeling Systems. When we received the referral from our neighbors, we went to Angie's List and looked them up. And so that was our first contact with them. And then once we started talking to the Lifetime Remodeling Systems, we found out through them that they've been named superior. They've been given a superior service rating from 2006 until 2009. So that was very impressive to us also.
And about the lead thing, I mean, you have a small baby. Did you feel confident that everything was being shored up the way you'd want it to, and that this sort of lead paint and the lead dust, it's being contained?
We felt confident. But until they began the process, and Ricardo was the lead carpenter on the project, they arrived at 7:30 in the morning, and I watched the process happen, and it was pretty amazing. The amount of setting up, they draped everything in plastic. They roped off or taped off their walkway, their pathway from the side or the back of the house to the dumpster, and they posted signs that stated for our neighbors to know that lead was being removed from our home. And then before they even started taking a board off, they sprayed down the area they were working with water, so that any potential of dust popping out was negated by that, they sprayed it, they made it all wet.
So kind of cleaning up as they went.
They did. And then at the end of the day, after two gentlemen spent, 8 or 9 hours pulling siding off of our house, then they went through the process of wrapping the plastic, so all of the chips that fell that day were wrapped up, sealed, and put in the dumpster also. And they spent probably a good 45 minutes to an hour walking around looking for any chips that might have popped off the plastic. And during the process, the workers were wearing the bunny suits. They were fully covered. They had respirators, which also impressed me very much. Sometimes contractors like to tell you what they're going to do, but they don't protect their workers.
Right, so you can kind of feel good that EPA certified.
Absolutely.
It's really good to know. Lifetime Remodeling Systems sounds like it really lived up to your expectations.
They did. They did. There wasn't a point where I was disappointed. And come to find out, Roger Lindstrom and then Ricardo, they are certified by the Western Regional Lead Training Program. That certification is current. They had all that paperwork on site, so any neighbors or even myself who had a question, we could look right at the paperwork. It was posted. So.
And I was going to say, you feel good about recommending them to friends, but clearly, your friends are probably very appreciative that you have somebody like that cautious and that careful, and kind of taking you through everything.
I think
They're probably very happy that you made that choice as well.
I think so. I mean, I think everybody has heard of a horrible story of a house being sanded and the dust sort of floating through the air. And so several of our neighbors said, we really appreciate the fact that that Lifetime Remodeling Systems took such care.
Any parting advice to someone who's up against the same situation, has a lovely home, knows that it's old and cherished, but needs some help?
I think I would just say do your research and talk to Lifetime Remodeling Systems. They really know their business, and they're very committed to doing it the right way. So that's what I would say.